Hi guys, Bob for Bob's Movie Reviews here, and today I'm bringing you a review of a movie I watched recently called Bigfoot County. Now, for some reason I always thought this movie was called Bigfoot Country, and I think I kind of like the name Bigfoot Country better. Anyways, they do exist. So this movie is rated R, 82-minute runtime, and IMDb users have given this movie a 2.9 out of 10. So the thing about this movie is it's kind of a really big ripoff of the Blair Witch Project. If you look at this movie, it's two men and a woman go into the woods to film a documentary about looking for Bigfoot. Blair Witch Project. Two men and a woman filming a documentary about looking for the Blair Witch. There's a lot more similarities than that, though. I mean, if that was it, maybe I could let it go. Okay, so movie starts out, and they're kind of like on their way to the town, and they're doing like interviews and stuff, asking people about Bigfoot, asking about this guy who called in a 911 saying his dog was ripped in half by Bigfoot. And they finally find him, and he's like this crazy but also religious guy. And like when they come up to his house, or I don't know if he had a house, he had like a trailer there. I don't think there was a house. And he's got like a hatchet, and he's like shaking it at him and stuff, and then like the guy gets out, he's like, no, I'm just gonna talk to him. So he goes over there, and then the guy like kind of runs over and he grabs an axe, and he's got this axe, and he's like and eventually it turns out he thought they were the media, and he was only gonna kill him because he thought they were the media. And since they weren't, he was okay. And he even agreed to show them where the Sasquatch or Bigfoot lives. He said there's like this corridor, and if you go there, the Bigfoot will come after you. And so they're going out on this hike. It's like a 7 or 8 hour hike through the woods. Again, similar to the Blair Witch. And like the guy's leading them, so they don't know where they're going. He has a compass though, and he's like, all right, we're going south, or we're going north, so all we have to do is go south to come back. And they have this like neon green duct tape or masking tape or something, and they're putting it like every 100 yards or something, so that way they have a trail to follow on their way out. And so they get to the spot, and the guy just like starts going crazy, and he's like, I can't go in there. And he's like, I don't know if he was throwing up or what exactly. Kind of think he was throwing up. But he's like, I can't take you any further. I can't take you any further. And then he just starts running. I mean, this was an older, out of shape guy. If they really wanted to, they could have kept up with him to go back, but they wanted to find out what was there, even though they didn't necessarily know the way back. They knew they had the tape, they could follow the tape, just go south, so they're pretty confident, but they're like, well, it's getting kind of late. We've been walking for like 7 hours already. We're at the corridor. Let's just stop here for the night. It didn't look that dark. It wasn't like nighttime. They could have, I don't know. So like, let's just set up camp here. So they go to sleep. And similar to the Blair Witch Project, they start hearing crazy noises in the middle of the night. So, and it's kind of like rocks hitting a tree or hitting each other. They kind of say Bigfoot communicate through banging rocks. And that's where that whole thing came from. So they're like, they think it's the guide. They think it's him. They're like just yelling, F you, and we know it's you, and all this stuff. And what ends up happening is this guy shows up with a shotgun and starts threatening them all and saying, this is private property, you don't have any right to be on this property. And like, he's just like, I don't know, he just acts really weird. It wasn't even like, oh, just leave my property. They're like, we don't know how to get out of here, we're lost. And he's like, that's not my problem. He doesn't even want to tell them how to leave. And then so they just take off, I guess. And then things get worse. The woman ends up being dragged out of the forest at a high rate of speed, and then the next night they hear her screaming, just like when the guy disappears on the Blair Witch Project. and just things keep happening, and then the other guy disappears, and it's so similar to the Blair Witch Project, it's ridiculous. And so then there's like just the one guy left, and he's like chasing after the tent, and he comes up to this cave, and it's really hard to tell what's going on at this point just because of the way it's filmed, but he's like in the cave, and he's like crawling through the cave. And then if you remember at the end of the Blair Witch Project, like the guy just falls over and the camera falls down or whatever, and then it just ends. I think the camera just falls over and it ends. Well, this one almost had a similar ending, except for the guy's like crawling through the cave, and then it just like falls down and shuts off. And I was like, is that the end? Come on, that's such a bad ending. Why do you have to end it so terribly? But then there's more that made the movie even worse. They kept going with things that made no sense, were ridiculously obscene, and totally unnecessary in any way. I'm not, like, the movie just fell apart. Now, like I said, users are giving this a 2.9 out of 10, and I had read a review or two where people were just like, this is stupid, this is boring, why even do this? And it's similar to the Blair Witch, in that it's just them out there filming. It's nothing fancy, no Hollywood magic. It's just a guy out there with a camera, and that's what it is. I mean, take it for what it's worth. It's almost feels like it's not even scripted, and they're just out walking through the woods and reacting to things that are happening. And I found it pretty interesting, and I was gonna say maybe around 5 out of 10. But then this ending came along and just ruined the movie, and I got pretty mad that they would even do that, and I just hated the ending. So for a score on this, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10, and if it had just ended with the guy falling down in the cave, I would have given it a 5. Average movie, but now I have to give this a below average rating. But I did kind of like this movie. If it hadn't been for the ending, I mean, it was easy enough to sit through, and it was kind of interesting, what's going to happen to them along the way. But if you didn't like the Blair Witch Project, you probably won't like this. Very similar movie. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time.